Okay, so I'm going to show you how to graph an exponential equation in this video. So I know it's exponential because I have x in the exponent. And the first thing I want to do is I want to graph the asymptote. Since it's exponential, I know my asymptote is going to be like this, a horizontal asymptote. And I know that k tells me the location of the horizontal asymptote. Before I do anything else, I'm just going to go ahead and graph a horizontal line at y equals 2. That is the equation of the line of the asymptote. So no matter what ends up happening over here in my little table, I know I should never cross this line. If I do, then I must have messed up my calculations somewhere. Okay, so now that I've got that set, I'm going to figure out what values to put in this table. So the very first value I'm going to put is whatever h is. Now this says x plus 3 up here, which means h is the opposite of this. It's negative 3. So I'm going to put negative 3 here. And I'm just going to do this in order. Here's negative 4. Negative 2. You can see I'm just going in ascending order. Negative 4, then negative 3, then negative 2. Okay? Now to find this first value, I'm going to take this equation and copy it. Negative 1, parentheses 2, close parentheses. I'm not going to put x. I'm going to put negative 3 there because x is negative 3. That's what my table is telling me. Plus 2. Okay? And that's going to give me negative 1 times 2 to the power of 0 plus 2. 2 to the power of 0 is just 1, so that's negative 1 times 1 plus 2. Negative 1 plus 2, that is positive 1. So that's my first point. Negative 3, 1, 2, 3, positive 1. Okay. I'll do this guy next. And again, I'm just going to copy the equation. Negative 1, 2, 2. Instead of x, I'm going to put negative 4. So that's negative 4 plus 3 plus 2. So that equals negative 1 times 2. Let's see here. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. Just added those up. Plus 2. 2 to the first, or pardon me, 2 to the negative first is actually just a half. So this would be negative 1 times a half plus 2. This would be negative 1/2 when I multiply these, plus 2, and negative a half plus 2 is 1.5. 1.5. Let's graph that guy. Negative 4, 1.5. Okay. And then this one, I've got x is negative 2, so that would be negative 1 times 2 to the power of x is now negative 2 plus 3 plus 2. So that would be negative 1 times 2 plus 2. Oh, so let me be clear. Negative 2 plus 3, that's 1. And 2 to the first is just 2. So that's negative 1 times 2 plus 2. That's negative 2 plus 2. That's just 0. So negative 2, 0. Now I can kind of start seeing the shape of this thing. Something you can add on if you want to just make it a little clearer is figure out if x is 0, what the y value would be. So that would be negative 1 times 2 to the 0 plus 3 plus 2. If I add those, I get 3. So negative 1 times 2 to the third plus 2. 2 to the third is 8. 8 times negative 1 is negative 8. Let me write that out. So I got negative 8. 2 to the third is 8. 8 times negative 1 is negative 8. Plus 2, so that's negative 6. Whew. So there you go. There's my y-intercept. Now, you don't necessarily have to put 0 in. Sometimes if you put 0 in, this number is so either small or so big, it actually will be like off the graph. But it sometimes helps to plug that in so they have an idea where the y-intercept is. So there's the shape, and you can see I did not cross the asymptote, so I'm doing pretty good. Okay, so let's talk domain, range, and the asymptote. Okay. Let's talk domain first. Now you want to remember domain is your left, right. So like how far left and right is this thing going? Well, you can see this arrow is pointing to the left. It's going to keep going forever. So that's negative infinity. It's going to keep going in that direction forever. This arrow looks like it's pointing down, which technically it is, but it's going to keep slowly moving to the right as I go down forever. So it's positive infinity. Like this arrow is never going to, as this line goes down, it's going to still creep to the right over and over again. It's never actually going to like straighten out. Now the range, that's my up down. Okay, well this part's easy. I mean, how far down am I going to go? I go down to negative infinity. This arrow's going to keep going down forever. It's when I go up, I'm going up, 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 bam. I bump up against this asymptote here. This line will keep increasing, approaching this asymptote, but never actually reaching it. So my upper bound is 2, because that's where the asymptote is. Where the asymptote, a lot of you guys would put like just 2. Don't put 2. It's an equation. It's y equals 2. You got to write the equation, not just a number. And I know it's y equals 2 because of k, right? Here's my k right up here. Here's my k. And so that tells me what the equation of the asymptote is. So there's a reminder of how to graph a exponential equation.